Here we go. Good morning, Boker Tov. We're on the bottom of Yud Gimel Amud Beis, I think it is. The bottom of Yud Gimel Amud Beis. So what happened yesterday? Yesterday the Gemara spoke about the Hadinor. The Gemara came into a contradiction. The Gemara said the last teretz was about the Hadinor, and then the Gemara said, where does it come from? The Zayasan Shalchayos, and where does it go to? Two terutzim. One was to the heads of the Rishon and Gehenim. Second one was Al Asher Kumtu. That's what we're up to now. What is Al Asher Kumtu? Even though an Gemara says Tanya, and I made a period over there, but it sounds like it's a continuation. Maybe we should have continued a few more lines, and the Gemara explains what is this Al Asher Kumtu. It's a pasuk in the Iyov Al Asher Kumtu below Ace. Nowadays, the word kamat, kamatim means creases, like a crease, as it's called the kemet, or to fold something is called the kmot. It seems that it's only two times in Tanakh, this word. I think both of them are in Iyov. Rashi brings the other one. Here is the Iyov Chav Beis, and here Rashi brings down also Iyov Tazayin. I think there are only two places in Tanakh that it says that word. And it seems to be maybe cut or crushed or decreed. So the Gemara continues that it means come to below waist. Rashi said, the Gemara says, bottom line, Rashi says, kumtu means nigzaru, which might be the same thing as nichrasu, to cut or to decree, comes from the same word, ligzor. So Rav Shimon HaChassid said that these are the 974 generations that were decreed to have been created. Means that Rashi brings on the top of the next page that it says that the Torah should have been given after 1,000 generations, but Hashem saw that it wasn't going to work. So Hashem did not create those 974 generations before, and only the last 26, it seems, the 26 generations of Adam until Moshe Rabbeinu was 26, and 974 were not created, but the Gemara is going to say that they were dispersed amongst all of the following generations, and they were created, but they weren't created before in the beginning of the world. They were pushed out and dispersed. And here it says, there's really two gerses over here. The word v'shaslan means that he implanted them, but there's also gersa v'tardon, and really the gersa should be both. This is all the dibra maskal. The tardonika lamandam v'shaslan. That then Rashi also has the word v'tardon, but either one will be the same thing. Tyson points out that both of them mean the same thing, that Hashem didn't create them in the beginning of creation, but he dispersed them amongst all of the following generations.
To 1,000 generations.
What?
Now we're still up. We're not even close to 1,000 generations yet.
But it's saying that Hashem did not create them, but he, instead of creating them, he in 974 generations, maybe it would have been small generations, not so many people, but Hashem made that they should be dispersed amongst the generations to come. And it says, these are the people. You see Azepanim, if you see audacious people in the Chutzafim, so those are the ones. Those are those original 974, and they were created. Doesn't mean that they were not created. Yesterday I was stuck. They're not created. So why is the Nahar Dinor falling on their head? So it says that they were created, but they weren't created originally. They were created later on. And those are these. So two pshatim on who does the Nahar Dinor fall. One is the heads of the Rishon and Gehenim. The other one is these Azepanim Shebedor. It means sounds like a special Gehenim for them, a special way of punishing them that the Nahar Dinor falls on their heads. But I don't know more. So if anybody does, please tell us. But I just have the translation. Agav, once the Gemara brought the pasuk, so it brings in Agav that somebody else says Dikmshat, that Asher Kum Tu V'Lo Eis is not talking about evil people. On the contrary, it's talking about good people. That's on the parentheses over here. Rav Nachman Yitzchak Amar Asher Kum Tu means the bracha hu dechsiv. It's not talking about evil people. It's talking about something that deserves to be blessed. Dechsiv bracha hu dechsiv. What is that? Elu Tamid Chachamim Shemekam Tenasman Alivei Torah B'Olam Hazeh. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Megal Lehem Sod L'Olam Habo Shenemar Nahar Yitzhak Yisodam. That's under the pasuk over there. Asher Kum Tu V'Lo Eis Nahar Yitzhak Yisodam. So he says that this is talking about Tamid Chachamim, that they the word Mekamtin is cutting, or Rashi says that they don't sleep a lot. They don't sleep a lot. Is that Rashi? Rashi someplace says that.
Doesn't Kamtin into the fold, the connect?
So you know that's from modern Hebrew.
Yes.
So that's the question, if modern Hebrew got it right or not. Here's the only place where it says it in Tanakh. So there's no Rashi over here. I don't see Rashi anymore. Okay. But somebody says, oh, maybe there's a Bach or something. What did I see? Shemakamtan. I saw something. 1 second. The Bach. Where is the Bach over here? Yeah, the Bach says. The Bach says, Mekamtan Asman Mishena. So it means that they take away from their sleep in Olam Hazeh, and Hashem is going to give them blessing in the world to come. What's the blessing? Nothing about that Hadinor, but it says, now Yitzhak Yisodam, that they're going. He says the word Yesod, which means their foundation is darshan as sod, secret. Hashem is going to give them the secret in Olam Haba. What does it have to do with the river? So Rashi seems to say, according to different girsa, that it means that it's going to be flowing. The secret will be flowing to them like a river flows. So this is a different shot in the pasuk about Tashakum tu v'loes, that it's not talking about the Rishonim of the 974 generations that the river Dinur is falling upon their heads, but it's talking about Talmidei Chachamim that they toil and toil in this world, and they
well, they hurt themselves. They Yisurim etzman.
right on the Torah, and in that merit, Hashem is going to give them the secret. The secret sounds like the secrets of Torah that they can have in Olam Haba. I don't recall. We said the word Yisodam is Dashin Dasod, and Nahar means that it's going to be flowing to them like a river. I don't recall another place where the Gemara talks about Kabbalah in the word of Sod, like the Soda Satorah. I don't know if that's a Gemara word, but here it seems to be. This word, it says Hashem is going to reveal to them the Sod.
So Hashem the
I don't know in the place where the Gemara talks about the word Sod as Kabbalah. I don't know if that's what it says. The Gemara continues. Shmuel told to the son of Rav, his name was Chia bar Rav. Bar means the son of the big Talmud Chacham. Come and I'll tell you a good thing from the good things that your father said. It could be that Rav was nifter already, and Shmuel's telling the son of Rav what his father said. He said, every day there are malachim created from this river, Dinur, Nahar Dinur. Before we said that it comes out Mesias and Shalchayos, and it falls onto the heads of the people in Gehenim, and here, or the Shekumtu, and here it says, besides that, maybe another point, that the malachim are created from that river, and they say Shira for that day, and then they become nullified, then they become butter, and then the next day, more create every day. Malachim are created from that river. Shenema chadashim la b'karim rabba munasecha chadashim la b'karim is dashing that every morning there are new ones. We say this. People who say modani, so they say rabba munasecha. This is based on this pasuk rabba munasecha. Some people get it wrong and they say b'chemla rabba. That's a mistake. B'chemla kama rabba munasecha. That's this pasuk over here. Here the Gemara it's pasuk in Eicha chadashim la b'karim. The Gemara is dashing that new angels are created every day, every morning. Rabba munasecha. Great is your trustworthiness. And Rashi, that's the Pashup shot. But Rashi over here is going to say, I'm sorry, the Pashup shot is not about the Malachim. Chadashim Labakarim that we get of every like new every morning. Rabba Munasecha, great is your faithfulness, Hashem, that you return to us our neshama. But the Gemara is mentioning Rabba Munasecha. Rashi says Rabba Tilasecha. It has to do with the Shira that the Malachim say that Hashem makes new Malachim every day, and they say Shira. And every day means that the next day there are more Malachim. So that means these Malachim are bottled after one day. That was what Rav said. Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani says different than Rav. Then Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani Yomar Rav Yonasan called Dibur v'Dibur sheYotzei Mipi HaKadosh Baruch Hu Nibra Mimenu Malach Echad. From every word that Hashem says, a malach is created. Shenemar Dvar Hashem Shamayim Nasu uV'Ruach Piv Kol Tzivam. The Gemara is mentioning the end of the pasuk V'Ruach Piv. That's the word of Hashem. Kol Tzivam. All of the angels are created. So are the angels created from the Nahar Dinur, or are they created from the mouth of Hashem, from the words of Hashem? That's what the Machlokes is. Rav says from Nahar Dinur, and Rav Yonasan says from the words of Hashem. The Gemara continues, that all came in Aga because we spoke about Nahar Dinur, because we spoke about exterior and the Psukim over there. Are there Elaf Alfin Hisham Shunei, or is there Lagdil Vein Spor? Because of that, we got into the sugya about the Nahar Dinur, and the Gemara brought this all as a tangent. Now the Gemara goes back to the subject, maybe about Malachim, other subject about Malachim, and it has a contradiction, and the Gemara is going to say to us a few Gemaras like that. Before also we had contradictions. How many Gidudim are there? Before that we also had a contradiction. Yesterday's Gemara, just to jump back a second, the Gemara talked about how many Kenafim there were, different contradictions. Maybe this is also, right? There the Gemara continues with a different contradiction. It says, this is not Malachim anymore, this is about Hashem, the Shechina. One pasuk says over there, it's pasuk in the Nil, where it's describing what he saw the Shechina. So it says that his levushay, which would say his clothing, it means that it's like white snow, and the hair of his head is like clean wool. That means that it's white. So here it says that the hair is white. When it describes Hashem, it says that his hair is black like a raven. So is the hair white or is the hair black? The Gemara says it depends how Hashem is acting. If he's acting in in yeshiva, means like in learning, so to speak. So then he's in a white hair, like a zakin. And if he's in war, so then he comes as a bachur, like a youth. The one who's fitting for yeshiva, I guess it means when there's a sitting of people that are speaking the words of wisdom. So then the zakin is the one who's chashuv, and the one who is fitting for war is the youth. So that would be the answer to the contradiction that Hashem has different attributes, and He appears in the visions of the Nevi'im according to the attribute that He's exercising. Is it going to be yeshiva or milchama? It's right here. This is the Gemara right here. That's a new contradiction.
Why are we asking these contradictions?
Before it spoke about not any contradiction. It's talking about Malachim before Ma'aser Merkava. So this is something about Ma'aser Merkava also. When it talks about the Shekhinah, how the Shekhinah appears, it also seems to be something related topic. First white line, it's a pasuk in Daniel. There's going to be a contradiction within the same pasuk. And then it says, because of Echadomer, Adi Karsav and Ramir, Ba'atik Yom and Yisiv. Over there, it's talking about when Daniel in the vision, he saw something about Hashem in the court, so the heavenly court. First, it talks about that his at the beginning of the pasuk says, Adi Karsav and Ramir, Ba'atik Yom and Yisiv, until the chairs were set up, and Atik Yomin, that's referring to Hashem, the one of ancient time, from all times. When he sat on the throne, but it says Karsavan is thrones. This is plural. The word Karsavan is plural in Aramaic.
What's the Ramav?
Remiv is to be set up, and
his thrones.
And the end of the pasuk says Karsiyesh vivindinor, that his throne means only one. The contradiction is, does it say one throne or two thrones? If Karsiyeh means singular, and Karsavan is plural. The Gemara says Lo kasha echad lo v'echad l'David kedetanya. The Gemara is going to bring a few terutzim. And first, the Gemara just was one of the terutzim, but right away the Gemara is going to retract from that, and even the author is going to also retract. So I'm not sure why it brings down the teretz that we're not going to hold up. But anyway, the Brisa says Kidatanya Echad Lo V'Echad L'David Divri Rabbi Akiva says on this pasuk, what are the two chairs for? So Echad Lo V'Echad L'David, that there's a throne for David HaMelech also. Amar Rabbi Yosef Glili Akiva Ad Masiyat Oseh Shechina Chol. He didn't like this. Rabbi Yosef Glili said that you're making something which is kodesh to be considered chol, means you put the two thrones as if it says it on equal level. The thrones, and one is for Hashem, one is for David, that's not proper. It has to be something about the kedusha, about Shechina. Both of them are referring to Hashem's throne, and two different thrones. Kisei din, kisei tzedakah, chesed, two different attributes. And when Hashem has different attributes, so he sits on different thrones.
So who's answering? The Gemara is answering. Listen to the Rabbi Yossi Aglili, because or Rabbi Yossi Aglili is offering an option.
Rabbi Yossi he's talking. And then that's under the Brisa, and the Gemara asks, Kibla Minei, although Kibla Minei, did Rabbi Akiva accept Rabbi Yosef Glili's pshat, or no, did he stay with his own pshat? Tashma, Echad Adin, V'Echad L'Tzedakah, Divrei Rabbi Akiva, that we have a Brisa that says Rabbi Akiva says now like Rabbi Yosef Glili. That means that Rabbi Akiva himself retracted from what he first said, Echad Lo V'Echad L'David, and therefore he holds like Rabbi Yosef Glili also, Echad Adin, V'Echad L'Tzedakah. But even when he said this also, somebody else still had complaints. Why are you learning Agarata? You're not fit for Agarata. You know better halachas. You're fitting more. I take your words to speak about Meseches Nagom, Meseches Olas, deep, complicated halachas, but Agarata, it's not your field. The two thrones, both of them are for Hashem. He doesn't want to say the pshat about Mishpat and Stucca. I don't know why, but he says one is for the throne and one is the footstool. Means even though it says thrones, it doesn't chairs. Not both of them are chairs. One is a chair and one is a footstool. Kisei leishav love shrafraf ladomar glove, that chair is for to sit on, and shrafraf is to as a footstool. Shenemar hashemayim shemayim kisiv v'aras adom magloi, that you do find that one is called a kisei, and adom, that's the footstool. So those are the three pshatim that we have. It seems that the first one should really be retracted, and that's really a pella why the Gemara brings down Echad Lo V'Echad L'David Kidatanya, if right away we're going to see that was revoked. But the Gemara says three terutzim to say what the Karsav one. Karsiyeh is going to be one of those two chairs. One of the two chairs. The one shot was Echad Lo V'Echad L'David, one was Echad Adin V'Echad L'Tzedakah, and one was Echad L'Kisei V'Echad L'Shmafra.
But Rabbi Yossi Aglili also had the opinion that it's tzedakah mishpat.
Yeah, I said Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah doesn't agree with that.
He's arguing with both of them.
Right.
Why is he only picking on Rabbi Akiva?
Because he was talking to him. The Gemara continues now, a new subject. Back to the subject. This subject goes about a page ago, And the subject a page ago, it said, just to go back, just to find it, the Gemara said, Daf Yud Gimel, it said, first white line, Ein Mosrin, this is Sisrei Torah, Lemisha Eish Bo Chamisha Dvarim, Sach Hamishim, the Sufanim, Yaweitz, Chacham Chavashim, Unavon Lochash, as a pasuk in Yishai, which we're going to see now at length. And the Gemara yesterday said that you only give over the secrets of Torah to somebody that has these 5 attributes. And now the Gemara is going to bring the whole pasuk now in Yeshaya and detail to explain the whole thing. And here the Gemara is not going to go back to what we said, but it says by us yesterday that you only give over the secrets of Torah to somebody that has these 5.
Why is he doing it again? If he did it yesterday, I'm sorry, you done it twice.
The Gemara is going to explain what it talks about. Kiyaser Avdimi Amar. Shmona Esrei Klolos Kilo Yishayis Yisrael V'lo Neskar V'dai Tawad Shama Lahem HaMikra Zeh Yiravu Anar B'Zokim V'Anikla V'Nichbad. Yeshaya cursed Am Yisrael 18 curses, which Rashi says doesn't mean that he cursed. He just was saying what's going to be in the future. He said over what's going to happen. Rashi says Kilo Yeshaya, the 4th line in Rashi, Kil Kloma Nisnave Aleim Yudchas Pioniers. It said not 18 prophecies of what's going to happen to them, bad things in the future because they were doing Averis, but it wasn't satisfied. It means that he didn't say it didn't express himself, the whole bitterness of what's going to be until the 19th one. And then it says, what's the worst klala? The worst thing that's going to happen to them? That the youth is going to be arrogant against the elder, and the lowly person is going to be arrogant against the noble person. And now the Gemara goes, that's the worst of all the other things that it says. That's like the worst one, because that's number 19 after all the other 18. The Gemara now is going to go through all 18 and darshan it, and then it's going to come to the last one, which is this pasuk, which is the worst. The reason why the whole thing comes in, the Chorah, is because it's going to talk about the Sar Chamishim and the Sufanim coming up over here towards the bottom. That's going to be in the middle of the list, but it starts from the beginning. Now it starts. Shmona Esrei Kalalos Mai Ninu. What are the 18? And it brings the whole pasuk. First, it brings the whole pasuk. I didn't highlight it, but that's the whole pasuk. The very strange that the Gemara brings this whole thing. Usually, it doesn't bring so much, but this is the original pasuk. Maybe I'll highlight it now.
Read it slowly.
We'll read it as we go along,
Okay.
but it goes over here. This is the pasuk over here. It's very long. The Gemara brings it mamash at length. Also, the key also, let's come get it on. All that. And it's also just to point out that the Gemara says it goes a little bit further. And if we can find the Gemara on the page. A little bit more. That's also on the So we'll come back to that soon, just to read the pasuk now. So this is the pasuk, and then the Gemara is going to dash in word for word. It says, Ki nei Adonai Adonai tzvos mesim b'Yerushalayim u'mihuda masheinu masheino kol mishan lechem v'chol mishan mayim gibor v'ish mulchamo shofet v'navi v'kosein v'zakein sar chamishim u'nesufanim v'yoetz v'chacham chavashim u'nevon lochash v'nasatin narim sareihem v'sadulim yim sheluvam and v'nigas is b'ish v'ish b'reyehu, and then it's going to say Yiravu anar b'zakein v'nikla b'nichbod, which the Gemara mentioned before. So just a translation before we get into the Gemara's drushes, because behold, the Master Hashem of legions, whatever Hashem's host is going to remove from Yerushalayim and from Yehuda the following things, 18 things. So that's why it's a klala, because these 18 good things are going to be removed. Mashein or Masheina. The word Mashein is something to lean on, and usually we call like a Meshenet as a cane, but it says both in the plural, in the male and in the feminine, Mashein or Masheina. We'll see what that is. Kol mishan lechem v'chol mishan moyim. Any kind of support of bread, support of water. There's not going to be food. Gibor, the warrior, the strong man. Ishmael.
Are we on number 4 already? Are we counting?
I'm not counting now. Just going to do it. We count later on. You could, but I'm just saying I didn't. Gibor, the strong man. Mashen is 2, right? Mashen 1, Mashen 2. You'll see it spelled out later on the screen. Gibor, the strong man. Ishmael Chama, warrior. Shofet, judge. Navi, prophet. Koseim usually would mean a sorcerer. That's not so good. You're not supposed to have a sorcerer. That wouldn't be a good thing that's going to be removed. We'll see what the Gemara says about that. So Cain, the elder, Sar Chamishim, which literally would mean an officer of 50, the Sufanim, a noble person that people respect, Yoetz, an advisor, Chacham Chavashim, a very deep, wise man. Chavashim means that he thinks very deep. Navon Lachash, the person. It could be. Navon Lachash, a person who understands things that are like secrets. He understands secrets. Nasati Narim Sarayam, I'm going to make that youth should be their leaders, and V'salulim Yim Sheluvam, and the way the Mepharshim say, like jesters, jokesters, are going to be the ones that are going to rule over them. v'nigas ish v'ish v'ish b'reyehu, when people are going to oppress each other. A man to a man and a man to his friend are going to be, and then it says at the end of all that, but the pasuk said before, Yeravu hanar b'zakein v'nikle b'nechbad. Like that's the worst one that the Gemara says, that the youth are going to be arrogant against the elders and the lowly people are going to be arrogant against the mechubadim. Now the Gemara starts to explain each one. Mashain. The number is going to come out more than 18. That's a little bit of a problem, and we'll mention it when we get there. Mashain, Ali Bali Mikra. It doesn't explain all of them where the Gemara gets it from, but the Gemara is saying that the Mashain, the support, means the people who know Mikra, they know Tanakh. There's not going to be in Yerushalayim people that know Tanakh. Mashaina, Elu Bali Mishnah, people that know Mishnayos. And the Gemara gives an example of someone who was very well versed in Mishnayos, that they knew Mishnayos very well. How much Mishnayos? One of Machlok is how much they were, how many they were. We have 6 Sidri Mishnah, but they had 600 or 700. So those people that know all those Mishnayos, the Balpeh, whatever I mean to say, the Mishnayos of Torah Balpeh. So those are Mali Mishnah. What is called Mishnah Lechem? Elu Bali Talmud. The people who know Gemara, that's called Bali Talmud. Shenema Lechu Lachmu B'Lachmi V'Shesu B'Yayin Masachti. That's a pasuk in Mishnah which talks about the wisdom is talking, and the wisdom is personified as a woman, and she's coming to invite people to come join from her, to partake of her wisdom. So it says, come to eat my bread and to drink my wine. So you see that the bread is called the wisdom. That's called Bali Talmud. That they have the wisdom of the Torah. That's called bread. Kol Mishamayim, the support of water. Who's that? Elu Bali Agada. The people who know Agadata, which usually is referring to Soda Satorah usually, but I'm not sure, maybe other kinds of Agadata. And why is it called water? Shemoshchem Libo Shalodim Kamayim, that they draw a person's heart. People are interested, they like to hear Agadata, and like water. I think water might mean like the water flows, not okay, maybe that's what shot. The way water flows, that's called, the people are drawn to it. Water is that's Moshmayim Moshchin. So it could be that that's called, that it draws people to learn Agada. Gibor, the pasuk after that says Gibor, is a Baal Shmus, a person who knows the facts. He knows different Gemaras, not lumdus, not give and take, but the fact that the Gemara says. And Ishmul Chama, the person who knows how to fight, not in the battlefield, but how to fight in the Beis Medrash. He knows how to debate. If there's a point that's being analyzed, he knows how to debate it. Shofet, so that's simple, it means a judge. The judges who judge truthfully. Emes Lamito means very true. What does that mean? That some Mepharshim always say that even if he can't actually find where the falsehood is, but he knows something's fishy over here, and it's not called Emes Lamito, even if he uses his feelings also to make sure that he's getting everything in the truth. Navi, Kamashmo, that's simple, that it means a prophet. Kosem, Semelech. Kosem is referring to a king. Why is it called the Kosem? Shenemar, Kesem al Sifsei Melech. That when there's a pasuk in Mishlei refers to the king's decisions and talking and speech as if it'd be a kosem, that he knows everything, he finds out, and when he says something, it's carried out. So the king is referred to as a sorcerer. Zaken, there's not going to be a zaken. What's a zaken? Yeshiva. We said a couple of lines ago that nabi yeshiva la zaken. So here it says the elders that are ra'ui, fitting for yeshiva, which would mean like a meeting of. Either means a meeting or it means yeshiva that we call it, a place of learning, and the people that are the learned over there are called zakenim. Sar Chamishim. Now, just to point out that yesterday's Gemara, when it said the 5 conditions that you have to have in order to give over Sisrei Torah, it starts from here. Sar Chamishim, Unesufanim, Yawaitz, V'chacham Chavashim, Unevon Lachash. Here the Gemara divides it into more than 5. When we're going to see here about Chacham Chavashim and Avon Lachash, we see that it's divided into 2 separate ones. So it's more than 5 altogether. So this is going to be a drash, even more than the Gemara meant to dashin before. Sar Chamishim. What is it? So the simple word Sar Chamishim means that he's a captain over 50 people. I don't think we Sar Chamishim el Sar Chumashin. It's a drash on the word Chamishim Chumashim. What's Chumashim? That he knows Torah. Say Yeshua Lisa Velitin v'Chamisha Chumshei Torah. He knows the 5/5. A Chumash means a fifth. What's a Chumash mean? A fifth of the Torah. He knows all 5/5. Chamisha Chumshei Torah. So he knows how to analyze and to debate within the Chamisha Chumshei Torah, which is quite a feat that a person knows the Torah so well that he's able to ask from here and there and be able to analyze the Torah. That's called the Sar Chamishim. Davar Acher, Sar Chamishim, Kid Rabbi Avo, Dam Rabbi Avo, Mikan Shein Mamidim metorgamon al tzibur pochas mechamishim. The word shana is not so simple. Some take it out, and the other Girsas take out the word shana, and it would mean this. The way it says it by us, it would mean that you're not supposed to be a torgamon if he's less than 50 years old. That would be a sar chamishim, a 50-year-old. And what's a 50-year-old? He's right to be a metorgamon, which would be the one who explains the drasha of the Rav, and he has to be at least 50 years old. The akash is on this girsa, and the proper girsa probably should be what the other girsa say, chamishim b'nei adam, that they have to have a tzibur of 50 people. So the Sar Chamishim says that it means 50 people, but it means that he's the first prat said Chamisha Chumshi Torah. But if it means it means the Chamishim before, just to get that Chamishim is called the fifths, many fifths, Chamishim, that's Chamisha Chumshi Torah, the 5 fifths. But according to this prat, it probably also means not the Gersa Shana, but it should be Bnei Adam. And it means that tzibur, 50 people, he darshans in front of 50 people. And if there's less than 50 people, you don't make a metorgamon for them. It's not a big enough of a tzibur to deserve a metorgamon. So it means someone who darshans in front of 50 people. Nesufanim, the pasuk continues that the Hashem is going to take away from Yerushalayim and Yehuda. Nesufanim, seshanosim panim l'dor ba'avuro. L'mala kigon Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa. L'mata kigon Rabbi Avo be'Kesa. It's a person who, because of his nobility, so the whole generation is taken into consideration in his merit, that if they're deserving some punishment, so because of this person, they're going to forgive the whole generation. And talks about being forgiven in heavenly court and in the earthly court. In the heavenly court, there will be somebody like Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa, that the whole generation was forgiven because of the merit of Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa, or like the Gemara says someplace else, that the whole generation is supported in his merit, and he himself was Kav Harubin. But over there it says that Kol Olam Nizam B'Shvil Chanina B'ni, that might also included that Nosim Panim L'Doro. And Lamata Kigon Rabbi Avo Be'Kesar, Rabbi Avo was very respected by the Goyim, by the Kesar, by the king of the Goyim. So that's also in an earthly level. Also, you find
2 examples of
an Nesupanim, either Lamala or Lamata. One is the Mala in heavenly court, one is in the earthly court. That Rabbi Avo, by the Be'Kesar, also they pardoned, or they gave honor, respect to the whole generation because of Rabbi Avo. The pasuk continues.
The Mata goes with Rabbi Mendoza, and the Mata goes with Rabbi Avo ben Kisa.
Right. Yes.
B means what?
B means atal. Base akesa. Yoetz means an advisor. That he knows how to make a leap year, and also how to make the month, if it should be 29 days or 30 days. He knows the astronomy in order to be able to know how to make proper calendar. Chacham, Chacham, the Gemara also really says Chacham Charashim. The Gemara is dividing it. Instead of saying Chacham Charashim, the wise are very deep things, but the Gemara says in 2 points. The Gemara says that the count of the Gemara 18 is not dividing it. It means when the Gemara is dashing now, each one is being broader than the actual count. If you count each one over here, you come up to more than 18. So he says, even though it counts Chacham and Charashim as 2 separate things, also in the next one, Lavon Lachash, but don't take it like that in the count. In the count is going to go together, Chacham Charashim. So Chacham, the Gemara says, that Talmud HaMachkim as Rabbi Osaf, he's a Talmud who makes his Rebbe smart. Means from his questions, probably it causes his Rebbe to become smart from the questions of the Talmud. There also happens to be in the Pirkei Avos by the 48 ways over there of the Torah. So it says one of them is a Machkim as Rabbo that's mentioned over there also. Charashim. So Charashim, Pashas means something about a deep wisdom. Choresh Machshavos, the Pasuk says sometimes, but here the Gemara is mentioning Cheresh. When he speaks Divrei Torah, everybody else is quiet. Nobody else can say anything. The word Cheresh usually means that he can't hear. Here the Gemara is using it that he can't speak, like a Elaim. And when he speaks, everybody else is quiet because he says smarter than everybody else, and nobody else has what to answer him. And Navon is a Maven Davar Mitoch Davar. Again, it goes Navon Lachash, but the Gemara is mentioning each one by itself. Navon is a Maven Davar Mitoch Davar, that he could extract one thing from something else.
I'm sorry, the 2 Chacham and Charashim is considered one.
So I said that in the count of 18 is going to be one. And Gemara is mentioning each one separately, but in the count of 18, it's not going to work out. If you could do Chacham and Charashim separate, then it's going to be confusing. And also Navon Lachash also. It's also Navon Lachash is one, but in the Russia, the Gemara dashes each one separately. Navon, and Lachash says, he's fitting to give over to him Divrei Torah that were given in its whisper, means secrets of Torah. It's interesting, again, I don't know yesterday's Gemara. The Gemara said that you only give over Sisrei Torah to somebody that has these 5 qualities. Sar Chamishim, the Sufanim, Yoetz, Chacham Charashim, and Navon Lachash. He counts it as 5. Yesterday also, he counts it in the count as 5. And it doesn't tell us where you get it from. How does it want to know only these 5 things? There's a whole list of it. Maybe say that it has to be Bali Mikra, Bali Mishnah, Balei Agada, Balei Talmud. How come the Gemara just jumps to here? That the Gemara knows yesterday that the things that you need for Sisrei Torah starts from Sar Chamishim. I don't have a pshat. I don't know how the Gemara knows that yesterday. And that's the whole reason why this Gemara came in today, because of yesterday's Gemara. So I'm not clear on that. The pasuk,
Where does Lachash mean?
Belachash,
No, but where is when does this are we finished Lachash or we still busy?
Til Venasati, Venasati Norim Sarei. If you look on the screen, you see where it's highlighted. Venasati Norim Sarei.
That's the next one.
This is the next one. I'm going to make youths should be their leaders. My Venasati, no, you can take out these words because it's extra, but my Venasati Norim Sarei, what does that mean? That Nar means a youth, but he's saying he's dashing Nar to mean Minuar, means that he's empty. He's empty from mitzvahs, and he's going to be the one who's going to be the leader. The leaders are going to be people that are empty of mitzvahs. And these the Gemara is going to dash differently, but the Mefarshim say Salula means jesters, people that are jokers. They're going to be the ones who are going to ruling over Am Yisrael. But the Gemara says a drash, Amar Acha Bar Yaakov, Tali b'nei Tali. The reason why it says Salulim, the word Tala in Aramaic means a shual, a fox, and fox like a double fox. The fox, the son of a fox. I'm not sure what it probably means sly, and that's probably what the Gemara means about being a fox. So those are the 18 curses. If you count it up, it should be 18. And I think you have to put together. Oh, so we have to have the Grua also. But don't forget about the Grua that he says the pasuk also ends off about Nigas Ishberiyu. That'll be maybe considered another two. I think if you count it together, the question is how you count it over here. But maybe count it up and figure it out. There's a mashal, there's a Grua.
Mina mitzvahs is also the one after Lachash. Shemanu Harim Mina mitzvah.
Where are you holding?
No, after Rabbi Elazar, Elu b'nei Adam, then afterwards just Menu Harim.
That was Pshat and Na'arim. And now after that, Salulim Yom Shuluvam, that's the next one.
Wait, is Menu Harim also one of them?
Na'arim is Pshat and Nar. Venasati Na'arim Sarayim.
So that's 15. And what's the next one? Tualalim?
Talulim Yom Shuluvam.
That's 16.
And then you have Nigas Ish B'Yehu. That's not in the Gemara. The Gemara doesn't say anything about it. But look on the Gemara, you'll see that. Look in the pasuk. Look
count 17.
Look in the pasuk. So that's going to be counted for two, maybe Ish B'Yehu. Or the other ways to count, maybe we could look in the count differently, but just get the words of the Gemara. And at the end, it says that was already 18. The Gemara says on top that it's 18. How do you count 18? Maybe we have to work on it. But it says there are 18, and now it says the worst thing. This is number 19. Maybe you'll say it's counted like 19 and 20, but it says he had 18 before this. And now comes the worst. That the nar is going to be arrogant. The word rahav. Rahav is greatness, arrogance against the elder. And what does that mean? Once again, the nar again means that he's empty of mitzvahs. So I don't see where it's darshaning the word zaken, that it means full of mitzvahs karimon. I don't know what that is. Maybe the rimon here is maybe it came in by mistake. I'm not sure. But the point is that he's empty. He's going to be arrogant against a person who's the opposite of him. So the nar is considered minuar, and the zaken is going to be the one who's full. So the people that are empty of mitzvahs are going to be arrogant against the ones that are full of mitzvahs. The pasuk ends off on the one who is, we said light, and zol is going to be against the mukhubad. But the Gemara says take literally that nikla means light and kaved means heavy. Yavu misha chamuros domos lav kikalos. The yeravu misha kalos domos lav kichamuros. That is the word the kal and kaved means like kal and chamur. How much person? There are some mitzvahs that are considered kalos. There are some mitzvahs that are considered chamuros. And some people, like it says in the Mishnah Novos, that have resolved a mitzvah kala kavachamura. So it says there are some people like that they're careful about easy mitzvahs like heavy mitzvahs. But there are other people that's opposite, that even heavy mitzvahs, they consider them light. So the person that's the case of Nikla Benichbad, that the person who considers everything light, even the chamuras he considers light, and he's going to be like the Gemara said yesterday, that is necessary in order to give over Sisrei Torah, and the Gemara dash in the whole 18, and it said the worst one is now after the 18, it says about the youths, and according to the Drash, it means the ones that empty of mitzvahs, that they're the ones who are arrogant against the ones that are full of mitzvahs, and the ones that everything is light to them, they're going to be arrogant against the ones that everything is serious by them. If that's good, any questions on that before we go further? Okay, the Gemara continues. Amar Rav Katina. Lo afilu b'shas kishlon shel Yerushalayim lepaskom heman shbali amana. Shenamar ki yisvos ish b'achiv beis aviv simla l'cha katzin tiyalanu v'machshei la azos tachas yadecha. The Gemara is going to say the whole drasha now with the psukim, and it's going to say in the next 5 lines, it's going to say that even when Yerushalayim was on a down, they were doing averos and everything, but still it had trustworthy people. Bali amana, people that are trustworthy. They always had trustworthy people and they didn't lie. The Gemara is going to say the whole pasuk now that's over there in Perek Gimel in Yeshaya, and it's going to say how they didn't lie.
But just correct me if I'm wrong. The reason why we bring Rav Katina is to show even all the bad part of Yerushalayim, they're still good.
The reason why he brings it is because he says that's the psukim over there.
Well, why are we bringing down
because we're in the Yeshaya Perek Gimel. We just finished dashing Yeshaya Perek Gimel, and that's what we're doing. We're going further in those psukim.
Oh, okay.
That's here Yeshaya Perek Gimel. This whole pasuk of this whole thing. Kinei Adon Adonai Tzvos. This whole pasuk is over there in Yeshaya Perek Gimel, like it says over here.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, maybe like he's saying that he wants to say, even with all bad, he wants to mention something good about it also.
Because else, why
we always do that.
It's very off track.
I think there's no problem with that, but if you're happy that it's because of Yerushalayim, to mention something good about it also, it could be. So here it says that the pasuk says over there, let's say the pasuk pshat, and then we're going to say the drash of the Gemara. The Gemara says when a person is going to seize his brother from his family and say that you become our officer. You have the ability to become our officer, and you can take care of all the problems that we have. So he's going to swear that I'm not the one to do it, and I don't have anything. You think that I'm a great person and I have power and wisdom, I don't have anything. Don't make me to be the leader. That's the pasuk from the pasuk over there. The Gemara is going to elaborate on it.
Where's the pasuk again? Sorry.
Ki is fos. If you want to see the pasuk, maybe I should highlight some more. 1 second. Ki is fos. Ish b'achiv beis aviv. Simlo l'cha katzin tiyalanu. V'amachshei la azos tachas yadecha. Yisa b'yom hu leimor lo eyeh chovesh. Uveveisi ein lechem ve'ein simla. And it says also lo sisimuni kitzima. Okay, the whole pasuk over here. Here it says the whole pasuk already. Okay, that's the pasuk. Ki is fos. Ish b'achiv beis aviv. Simlo l'cha katzin tiyalanu. V'amachshei la azos tachas yadecha. That's the pasuk. So the more dashes now. So it means you have a lot of wisdom. Similar, you have the pashtat is you have a clothing, you have the uniform, and become our man, become our officer, become a katzin. So he says, you have the things that people have put under their clothing. So Rashi learns over, I'll just say Rashi, maybe the other pshatim, Rashi says that the things that people are scared that are going to be asked, the words of wisdom that everyone doesn't want to ask, that people don't want to be asked because they don't know the answers. So that's like they hide under the coat. What's referring to machshela? You have the pashtat is you have the ability to take care of the problems that are happening. But he says that things that people don't succeed in knowing them, understanding them until they made a mistake. But Divrei Torah is called that a person doesn't. Both when you're figuring it out, first you have to have the whole analysis to figure out what's the right, what's wrong. Also, it could be that people, till they themselves experience that they made a mistake, then they're going to be omer al divrei Torah, that they made a mistake, they fell, and then they come to the truth. But that's called divrei Torah.
That's what it means.
What? You have them. You have that. You have the divrei Torah. You have the divrei Torah that is impossible to inquire unless a person stumbles in it first. That's only a description of what divrei Torah are. You have the simla, you have the machshela. So he's going to swear and say, no, I don't. He's going to swear, as the Gemara is going to explain soon that it means to swear. Lo hayach chovesh, which means that the Gemara is not saying I haven't. Not that I'm not going to become, but I don't. I haven't been a chovesh. A chovesh doesn't mean a paramedic. Chovesh is going to mean that he's the chovesh beis hamikdash. I don't know why it means chovesh, but it means the person who was kavua in the beis hamikdash. I'm not sure what the word chovesh means according to the Gemara. I don't have bread. I don't have the similar you think that I have. Don't make me to become an officer. So now the Gemara is going to dash in that pasuk. Yisa. What does it mean? Yisa b'yamahu. Yisa. Ein Yisa el lashon shvua. Yisa means oath. Shenema, Lo Yisisa Hashem Hashem Elokecha L'Shav. You see that the word Yisa is referred to by note. So this person that they're trying to address, he should come our leader. You're a Talmud Chacham. You know, you can help us out. So he's going to swear, and he's going to say Lo Yachovesh, which means Lo Yisi Mechovesh Beis Hamedrash, that I wasn't from those who were in the Beis Hamedrash. What does the word Chovesh mean? I don't know exactly. They use the expression today also, and I don't know what the word literally means. In my house, there's no bread and there's no clothing. It doesn't explain what lechem and simul is referring to. We did have today before that lechem means Talmud. We did say that when the Gemara said Mashen lechem, the Gemara said that it means Bali Talmud. I'm not sure, but here he says that he has no Tanakh, no Mishnah, no Gemara. I don't know anything.
These are people who are not using the koiches and learning, and it's a curse.
No.
No.
These are the people that the Gemara calls them Bali Amana, that they didn't lie.
Oh.
That even though they could have lied and said, yes, I'm Ra'ui, they were Bali Amana, even though you see that they're so bad, that the whole Pasuk in Yeshayahu, they're talking about the bad times of Yerushalayim, but I feel they didn't lack Bali Amana. Everybody was honest. That if they didn't know, they said, I don't know.
They call it kinta?
What?
They call it a kinta? Somebody doesn't say a lie?
No.
I'm getting confused.
The Master Kasha, how do you see that they were honest? Of course they had to say the truth. If they would say we know, so they're not asking them questions, they're not going to know the answers. You can't prove that they're honest because they said the truth. They have to say the truth. If they would say we do know, so they'll say, it's okay, go ahead, get up and start dashing. But okay, that's only a temporary thing. But they're making them to become the leader. He has to get up and say something, and they're not gonna have anything to say. So the Gemara says no. It's still they could have been dishonest. They could have said they could have gotten out of it more respectable. They could have said I did know, but I forgot. That would have been more respectable than to say I never learned it. And they said the truth, even though they could have said a lie and gotten out of it a little bit more. With keeping their honor, they didn't. They said I never learned. But the fact that they said that I wasn't in the Beis Medrash, it means I didn't know it at all. So that's what Rav Katina said, that even at the time of the down of Yerushalayim, still they were Balei Amana. The Master Kasha, one line up. That Yerushalayim only was destroyed after there were no more Balei Amana. You're saying that there were always Balei Amana. It says there were no Balei Amana. Shenama, show to do B'chutzes Yerushalayim, U'u, No, U'u, U'vakshu B'chov Baseh, and Tum Suish, Yesh Osem Mishpat, B'vakesh Emunah V'eslachla. The Pasuk says openly, roam in the markets of Yerushalayim and see and know and seek in its streets or plazas. If they find a person who does mishpat, mevakesh emunah, a person who's seeking honesty, means that he's an honest person, and I'll forgive it. And they weren't forgiven. So you see, there's no anshe emunah. The pasuk and Rava said so. How do you reconcile these 2 points? Were they anshe emunah or not anshe emunah? The Gemara says lo kasha. If it was money, they were not honest. But if it was to say, I know Torah, I don't know Torah, they were honest and they said, I don't know the Torah. How much they were honest. But when it came to money, they were not honest.
So they didn't have all the money.
The Divrei Torah they were honest as far as Divrei Torah, if they knew it or not, but they were not honest in business. The Gemara continues now about Ma'aser Merkava. We said that the whole thing is talking about Ma'aser Merkava. Now about darshaning at the beginning of the parak and darshan. Now it's going to talk about not about the actual Ma'aser Merkava, but stories about Ma'aser Merkava. People that learned it, people that taught it. Tanu Rabbanan Ma'aser. The rest of the Gemara is easier now. Tanu Rabbanan Ma'aser B'Yechon Ben Zakkai Shei Yirochav Alachamor going out of Yerushalayim Vayimalach B'Derech. Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch Mecham Rachamav. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was the Rebbe. Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch was the Talmud, like it says in Pirkei Avos, and one of his 5 Talmidim. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was riding the donkey, and Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch was following after him. Amalo Rebbe Shanei Li Perek Echad Ma'aser Merkava. So the Talmud of Elazar ben Aruch asked Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai to teach him something about Ma'aser Merkava. Amalo Lo Kach Shenisi Lochem V'Lo B'Merkava B'Yochid. Then I teach you the Mishnah that says you're not supposed to teach even one person. There has to be somebody that is a chacham and he understands. He understands the Ma'aser Merkava. So I don't know that you're on that level. I don't know if I could teach it to you. Rebbe, allow me to say something that you taught me. The truth is that he didn't teach it to him, because then Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai would have known about it already. But that's the derech eretz to say to Rebbe that you taught it to me, even if you learned it from someplace else. So he said, let me say something, because he wanted to prove himself that he does know Ma'aser Merkava. So let me say something that you'll see that I'm ra'ui and you could teach me. I'm allo and more. So he said, go ahead, say. He got off the donkey and he wrapped himself up, I guess, in more more than he was dressed till now. He put on his talus over his head, like we say, and he sat on a stone under an olive tree. I don't know why he says that. So the Talmud asked the Rebbe, why did he go off the donkey? Amar. So Rabbi Mazaka answered, you're going to now dash in Ma'aser Merkava. That's what you said, right? You're going to dash in Ma'aser Merkava. Is it proper that the Shekhinah is going to come, the Malachi Hasharis are going to escort, and I'm going to be riding on the Chamor? That's not the Recheres to listen to Ma'aser Merkava riding a donkey. So then Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch started dashing. Miyad Pasach Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch Ma'aser Merkava v'Dorash. He started dashing Ma'aser Merkava. A fire came down from heaven and surrounded all the trees in the field. Pascha Kulan V'amru, all the trees started saying Shira. They started saying Shira. What Shira did the tree say? They said, well, it says we say every day, Hallelujah Hashem and Oras, Taninu V'chol Tahomos, Eshu Vara, Shadla V'kita, Ruach Sarah also the Voro, Am V'chol Gavos, Eis Pri V'chol Harazim. Hallelujah. Over there says that even the trees of the field also, Eis Pri V'chol Harazim, they also praise Hashem. So that's what they were saying, the praise of Hashem. We praise Hashem about the whatever they heard about Ma'aser Merkava. Then a Malach Min Ha'esh V'amar, Hey name Ma'aser Merkava. There was a Malach over there. And like we said, Malachim are going to come. And what did it say before? The Malachim are going to escort us. So the Malachim came and the Malach said, this is the true Ma'aser Merkava. Rabbi Mazaka got up and he kissed him on his head. And he said a very, very amazing praise about the Rabbi Mazaka. Baruch Hashem Elokei Yisrael shenasan bein l'Avram Avinu sheyadei l'havanu l'achkor v'lidrosh b'Ma'aser Merkava. Blessed is Hashem, the God of Israel, that gave his son to Avraham Avinu, that knows how to understand and investigate and darshan in the Ma'aser Merkava. Yeshna dorish ve'eno makayim. Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch.
Yeshna the five that we learned in Pekah.
Right. Yeshna dorish ve'eno makayim. No makayim ve'eno dorish. Ata no dorish ve'eno makayim. There are some people that they know how to darshan well, but they don't fulfill. There are some people that fulfill, but they don't know how to darshan. You are not a darshan, you know how to fulfill also. I don't know what it means to fulfill Ma'aser Merkava, but whatever it was, he says that you are perfect both in the way that you speak and the way that you act. Fortunate are you, Avraham Avinu, that Elazar ben Aruch came out of your loins, means that you have such a descendant that he's able to darshan Ma'aser Merkava. This was the end of the first story that Elazar ben Aruch darshaned about Ma'aser Merkava in front of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. When this was told over to Rabbi Yoshua, the story of Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch, his colleague, that said Ma'aser Merkava to Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, so he and Rabbi Yossi Cohen were going on the road. So they said, we're also going to dash in Ma'aser Merkava, and Rabbi Yeshua started dashing in Ma'aser Merkava. Pasach Rabbi Yeshua v'Dorash, even though it was the middle of the summer, that the skies became cloudy, and they were seeing a rainbow in the cloud. I think that this rainbow has nothing to do, my Chavusa said this, that has nothing to do, Dafka, with the rainbow about Ma'abel. It has to do with the rainbow that it says in the Sefer Yecheskel over there. The Keshes is one of the, is how it is personified over there, not personified, but described. The Ma'arei Kvod Hashem is the Keshet Kmo Keshes Bana. So that's probably what it meant over there when it says that a Keshes appeared.
Meaning it
was a good sign. And the Malachim came around, huddled around to be able to hear the words the way you see people by a wedding, that they're doing something in front of the Chasna Kala. And like Rashi says, Mina Eschok, whatever they do in the center around the Chasna Kala to Mina Eschok Shemasachim Lefneim. Some say that it means the songs that they sing before the Chasna. So the Malachim came around to hear the words of Rabbi Yeshua.
Who was learning?
Rabbi Yeshua was darshaning. Halach Rabbi Yossi Cohen v'sipet dvarim l'fnei Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Rabbi Yossi Cohen was there. He went and told over Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai what Rabbi Yeshua said. V'amar ashreichem v'ashrei ladetchem ashrei einai shekach ro. Fortunate are you. Fortunate are those who bore you. Fortunate are my eyes that see. That see means that are able to darshan Ma'aser Merkava. Fortunate are my eyes. And also, you should know that I saw in my dream that we were gathered around Har Sinai, and a baskol came out, a voice of heaven came out from, a voice came from heaven. Alulakan, come up here, come up to Har Sinai. That there are big palaces and beautiful spreads that are ready for you. You and your students and your students. You're all invited to the third group. I don't know what the third group is, but there are different groups over there that are on Har Sinai, or means in Olam Haba, and you're invited to the third group. So you see these two stories. One was about Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch darshaning the Ma'aser Merkava. The other one was about Rabbi Yeshua darshaning Ma'aser Merkava. The Gemara's the Kasha Eini, is that so? But Tanya, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, Omer Shlosha Hatzos, and there were three drushes. The word Hatzah nowadays is a common word for a drusha. I'm not sure what the difference is between a Hatzah and a drusha. They call it a lecture nowadays. But Rabbi Yehuda said that there were three. Yes.
Today, what we call today, I know the difference.
What's today?
Especially you learn Sukkah, it says you're just giving a talk in general. You're not, it's not after learning, it's you know.
The Chilonim don't use the word drusha. No, only
I could be
Hatzah.
wrong.
I don't know. Rabbi Yeshua, so it says here there were three lectures about Ma'aser Merkava, whatever the word Hatzah means, but it means these three drushes about Ma'aser Merkava. Rabbi Yeshua here says Vam Lefnei Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Rabbi Akiva here says Lefnei Rabbi Yeshua, and Hanani ben Chachino here says Lefnei Rabbi Akiva. If you take the list over here, there was a Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai who Rabbi Yeshua darshan before him, Rabbi Akiva darshan before him, before Rabbi Yeshua, and Hanani ben Chachino darshan before him. The order would be Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Akiva, and Hanani ben Chachino. Each one of this was the chain that Hanani ben Chachino, if going from the bottom up, Hanani ben Chachino darshan in front of Rabbi Akiva darshan in front of Rabbi Yeshua darshan in front of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. And what's the kasha? Lilu of Elazar ben Aruch, the arts, the Lokachashiv doesn't mention Elazar ben Aruch. The first story you say that Elazar ben, the long story of Elazar ben Aruch over there by the Chamor, that whole story, it says of Elazar ben Aruch. But the other Brisa just says that there were three Hatzaot. And you're saying of Elazar ben Aruch also darshan in Ma'aser Merkava. The Gemara answers,
They were inspired, the other three were inspired by the encounter of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai with the Elazar ben Aruch.
the question is, why doesn't it say it in the list? Why doesn't it say it in the list over here? It doesn't say it. Then my answer is the Atzi v'Atzu kamei kachashiv, the Atzi v'lo Atzu kamei lo kachashiv. That it only lists the ones who both said the drasha and also they were said too. They were both the speaker in one instance and they were the audience in the other instance. So it says that the Yeshua was the one who said in front of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, but then Rabbi Akiva also said in front of him. And then Rabbi Akiva was also the audience when Hanani ben Achinoy said. So it only lists those that are in this chain of three. But you don't have Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch, it was not in that chain. The most the Kasha of Hanani ben Achinoy, the Lo Atzu Kamei v'Kachashiv, he is mentioned. Hanani ben Achinoy was the last one on the list, and it just says that he darshan in front of Rabbi Akiva, but it doesn't say that anybody darshan before in front of him. So Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch is the same thing, that he darshan, and he wasn't darshan before in front of. So how come Hanani ben Chachinoy is listed and Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch is not? The Gemara answers, the Artzi miha kamei man Artzi, but he did darshan in front of somebody who darshan to somebody else. Means he's in the list. This chain over here is the reason why it's mentioned. Only the people that are in this chain: Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Akiva, Hanani ben Chachinoy. But Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch would have been only one thing by itself, that he darshan in front of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. No one darshan in front of him. That's the reason that it doesn't list him in the list. The end of the Gemara for today. It continues now a new issue, which is still allowed to go on the page, but it goes into Gemara tomorrow's Gemara. So we'll start here tomorrow by Tanu Rabbana.
I don't understand this Atzi, right? So
That the list over here would be chain. There's Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was told Ma'aser Merkava by Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua was told Ma'aser Merkava by Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was told Ma'aser Merkava by Hanani ben Chachinoy. So you have this list that goes one after the other. Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch wouldn't have been in that list. It is true that he said in front of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, but there's nobody that said in front of him, and that's why it's not on that list. This list is only saying the chain of these three Hatzos. I don't know who. I'm not sure if it went that way. That the one. It doesn't seem to be that Hanani ben Chachinoy is the one is going downwards. But the Rebbe starts with Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, and his Talmud darshan in front of him, his Talmud darshan in front of him, his Talmud darshan in front of him. And Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch wouldn't have fit into this list. That's why it doesn't say it. And the Gemara today. Okay. Well, we can say it's not going to be such a sikum. The Gemara first talked about where does the Hadinur fall upon, and the Gemara said either the head of the Rishon on Gehenim or the 974 generations that were spread out amongst all the generations, because Hashem didn't want to wait for the Torah 1,000 generations, just 26, and they are the Azepanim, and that's where the Hadinur falls upon. The Gemara also says possibly that's a bracha. The Talmid Chachamim that they toil in Torah without sleeping, so they're going to get the secret in the Olam Haba like a river. The Gemara says Two possibilities where the malachim come from, either from the Har Dinor, like Rav said, and every day they say Shir on their bottle, or they come out from the words of Hashem, like it says, the Gemara's contradiction, if the Hashem's hair is white, so to speak, of course it's a mashal, the Hashem's hair is white or black, it says be yeshiva white, then will come black. The throne that it says Karsavan, Karsayeh, was there one throne or two thrones? The Gemara had three possibilities, either for Hashem and for David, and then the Baal doesn't like that, then Rabbi Kiva himself retracts, one for Din, one for Tzedakah, one for Kisei, one for the footstool. The Gemara brings the pasuk about the 18 things that Yeshaya said is going to happen via things to Am Yisrael, but the worst is the last one. It goes through all the 18, and the 19th one is about Yero, Banar, Bezaki, Banikla, Banachbad, and that's the worst. Rav Katina says about Amana, Anshi Amana. So the end of the Gemara comes out that in Divrei Torah, when they didn't know, they said they didn't know. They never learned it, even though they could have said that they learned it and they forgot. But in business, they were not honest. The next Gemara says about Belazar ben Aruch, that he said Ma'aseh Merkava, and the great Malachim that came, and says the Shechina might have come also, it says the Shechina Imanu. And then he said he gave such a blessing, Baruch Hashem Elokei Yisrael, that Ashrecha Avram Avinu Shalaz ben Aruch Yaseh Mechalatzecha. It says also Bishur Dashem Ma'aseh Merkava, and also Ashreichem, Ashrei Yaladetchem, Ashrei Enesh Kach, and it says Rabbi Yochanan saw a vision that they were on Har Sinai, and they were called up to the third kat. The Gemara just ends off that there were three Atzos, and Rabbi Ben Aruch is not on the list because it was not in the chain of the Talmud Rebbe. Yashikah, thank you.
Just a brief comment. When you talk about all the how many thousands of generations, and how many people is that? In the time of Adam Rishon, the generation might have had 1,000 people. Now a generation has billions of people.
So you said, so you're asking or you're answering?
I'm giving a possible answer how we're using up all these generations, because the generation now is
much fewer people. In the early generations, there were much fewer people. Yeah.
So
thank you. Yes.
So
Yes?
this could be that we use them more. We just, even if 2-3% of those generations, each generation, it's a huge number of people.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying it's good. That would make sense. You're saying. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. I'm David.
What
What were you saying?
I forgot what I asked.
Okay.
Yeah, no, 'cause
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, why? Who taught Rabbi Eliezer ben Aruch, Elazar ben Aruch? If he's not in the Shtalshalos, where did he get it from? Oh, he's a rabbi. He thought he didn't know it.
But then he said, I do know.
Right,
And he
so-
was a Chacham Mev Midaito. Could be that Chacham Mev Midaito means they figured it out on his own, and then he wants to hear more. So he asked Rabbi tell me more. And he said, you don't know anything.
And
He said, he showed he's a Chacham Mev Midaito.
that he did know.
So yeah, that's what it seems to say.
And he got it. Once Moshe Weinberger was driving